My first guest does the morning show along with his co-host at New Country 96.9, and they have a 8th annual C103 New Country 96.9 Radiothon coming up on Friday, and I'm impressed I got all that out of my mouth at once. This is Tony Smith. Tony, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks very much for having us, Mike.
Very, very happy for you to be here. Very exciting times coming up on Friday.
Yeah, this is our 8th annual Radiothon, and for something that started small over a conversation with the Friends of the Moncton Hospital Foundation, it's turned into something pretty big. I mean, we have our biggest goal ever this year. We're shooting for $60,000 on Friday, which we think we raised $45,000 last year with the help of a lot of generous people. And I guess our total, I found out our total to date is over $227,000 going into our 8th annual. And that's pretty cool to think that you know, that amount of money has come out of just a day of telling stories and you know, making new friends, seeing some old friends. We see some of the same people back year after year with donations, and then we meet new people who may be patients in the hospital. You know, when you're in the hospital, that's kind of your world, right? Your family's there. You mentioned you have a 6-month-old.
Yes, and yeah, the Moncton Hospital was very good for us.
that few days you're in the hospital there, that's everything, right?
Oh, exactly.
You know, and this year, the maternity, they want to start a state-of-the-art maternity and newborn center, something that's never been seen before here in the city, and something for cardiac care patients. It's all part of an overall goal of $8 million extraordinary care campaign that I think we can help hit that.
That was one thing that producer Dennis and I were talking about in the pre-show meeting. Yeah, we have meetings before the show. I know it's amazing to think that based on what comes out of this. But we were saying, I was like, yeah, I was there 6 months. I remember there being a maternity ward there. Yeah. But this is up and above. This is and it's incredible the help that Friends of the Moncton Hospital has received over the last little while, and you guys are there to help with that.
Well, you know, you grew up in our city. You know how generous people are here, and people around here. Some people don't have so much, and that's when somebody walks in and they're like, you know what, it's my last 20 bucks, but I was born here so many years ago, and I want this to go here. That's sometimes more meaningful than the person that writes the, not that we send the big giant checks back. But that's very meaningful. Those are the stories you remember for sure.
Yeah. Now, how do you carry those big checks around? Because I mean, it's tough to cash. Like we're talking, big ones.
We have a special van.
Okay.
And it's a series of giant checks because you never know when you're going to need more than one. And
well, I'm sure. I mean, you can't just get one check. It's like you go to the bank, you can't get one. You got to get at least 12, or you got to get a pack of whatever.
It's true.
Somewhere there's a giant peel off. Big vinyl checks.
And sometimes, you know, somebody's expecting that. And if you can't produce a big giant check, that can be disappointing. You don't want to be on the wrong end of that disappointment. So.
That's true. So I can expect, since it's the 8th annual, this will be check number 0008.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to think of the last time I had numbered. I was trying to think of checks. And the last check I wrote was a giant check.
Got to haul the big old handwriting out for that.
Yeah.
8th annual. I know this isn't your first rodeo with it either. You know,
no.
What is it like? Because I know you've mentioned a little bit about the generosity and how, you know, what is it like to sit in that chair and not only have to broadcast, because it's not a chore to broadcast on this day, but you know, with all the range of emotions, what's it like?
You're right. It is a range of emotions. There's a lot of happiness. There's a lot of joy that day, but there's also days, like times during that day, I've cried. Someone telling their story across a table, and it's your job to hold it together and help tell that story, but at the same time, you're a human being. You can't, you know, I'm a crier. I will admit to it. And it becomes more personal when the person sitting across the table is somebody you know, who's telling their story. Maybe you don't know their whole story, and that affects you. That's one year we were sitting there, and someone said, listen, somebody wants to come out and visit you. Do you guys have time for a visitor? Yeah, absolutely. And they came out of the cancer treatment ward, and it was a listener. It was somebody who we'd played radio contests with, who had come to visit the radio station they'd been on vacation, and they thought of us, and they picked up a gift for us. And she was battling cancer. And unfortunately, a few years ago, she passed away. And her husband still visits the Radiothon every year with a big giant check from his hockey team in Hillsborough. They fundraise for the Moncton Hospital because of the care that she and the family received there. And that's the sort of thing you remember. You remember those stories, and that's why you want to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it's one of just many stories that certainly on Friday that you'll get to hear, you'll get to see, you'll get to hear on the airwaves, which is always really interesting. And as two radio people, I mean, you know as well as I do, when those stories get real, when you get those people on air, even from a radio perspective, that's the best because it's raw, it's true, it's real,
it's honest. You know, you're right. It is. It's honest, and it's all the bumps and bruises, and it's all laid bare there. I have to give credit too because our friends at the Moncton Hospital Foundation, they do the work behind the scenes to get our guests and get the doctors lined up, and they have an incredible team of volunteers and people who are off duty at the hospital, the porters who raise money year after year after year. They just do such a tremendous job behind the scenes. And, people hear us talking about it on the radio, but they're the ones doing the real work behind the scenes, the hard work, the finance work. They identify the areas of the hospital that need attention where, maybe there isn't enough money to go around. I don't know if you heard, there isn't always enough money to go around. Schools,
you never hear that
hospitals.
in New Brunswick. We're just we swim in money, right?
So fortunately, we live in a community where there aren't too many people who haven't had their lives affected one way or another from either the very beginning or at the very end by the Moncton Hospital.
Mm-hmm. So 8th annual C103 New Country 96.9 Radiothon. Again, this is the second time I'm getting it out. It's good. This is good. This is good.
It's
so you can hear it live on C103 and New Country 96.9. So that's 103.1 and 96.9 on your dials in Moncton, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday, and we'll get to hear you as well.
That's right.
That one too.
And you can donate now. We have a donate button on our website. If you go to newcountry969.ca, we have a donate button there, and there's actually a Radiothon selection in their drop-down menu at the Friends Foundation website where you can put your money in. We should say we have big donors, big organizations like the Atlantic Lottery Corporation who have stepped up this year with a $25,000 donation. That's incredible to see a group of people. I mean, they're a big office, a bigger company here in Moncton, and they're rooted so firmly here in our community. And I would wager that just about everybody in their office has been affected by the work at the Moncton Hospital some way or another. So that's neat for them to get behind their employees like that.
No, for sure. We talked about it earlier about the total to date, and you can pretty much guarantee you're going to hit $250,000 this time.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah,
and that's like through 8 years. That's a pretty incredible number.
Yeah, it's nice to be a part of, and it's nice to visit the hospital and see. Sometimes we get to take a look behind the scenes and see what some of that money has gone towards, and the kind of differences. We'll have doctors on the show to talk about the difference that's making in people's lives, like that it's actually saving lives. And when you donate, you're saving lives, and it's not just a line. They're saving lives every day, friends and neighbors' lives at the Moncton Hospital, and your donations are going to help that out.
For sure. Friends of the Moncton Hospital is the beneficiary through their Extraordinary Care campaign. As we have mentioned, it is Friday from 6 to 6. Tony Smith, you'll be doing the morning, I presume, with New Country 96.9.
Yes, my co-host and I, Scotty Horseman, will be there in our giant foam cowboy hats.
So if you want to see how they work as a show, you can go and check it out.
That's true. That's true.
It's going to be a lot of fun. What's it like in the lobby when you guys are there?
Oh my goodness, it's so busy. The sights, the sounds, the smells. You always have a chance to break away. When you go to the Moncton Hospital, you have to visit the sales tables.
Oh yes.
So
absolutely.
So you break away, you get the sales tables. You grab a cup of coffee. There's people making sure that you have breakfast. Mm-hmm. We have a breakfast crew. Our friend Julie, who is in charge of the Friends of the Moncton Hospital Foundation. She's their coordinator, and her team behind the scenes. They make sure that we have everything we need, and that gets down to breakfast too, which is an important part of the day, and it's great that they do that for us. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. Now, you did mention you can donate right now.
Yes.
On the website, New Country 969. How else can people donate during the day?
You can bring by cash. You can phone. We'll have operators standing by from 6 until 6. You can call our operator team. in the Moncton Hospital Library. They're not doing an operation. I should say that they're operators.
This is operation of a different definition. This is not, you know.
We have volunteers on the phone, volunteers who get up the crack of dawn to come in and answer the phones and take your donations. And when you make a pledge, we hope that you honor that pledge. And we'll talk about your pledge on the radio. We'll talk about your organization. If your company's been raising money and you're like, oh, well, I'm not really sure where this is going to go. We haven't settled on anything.
Get it in there.
This is a noble cause.
6 to 6 on Friday. Be sure to be listening. 96.9, 103.1. Tony Smith from New Country 96.9. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mike.